Right, so last time, Zack, you weren't here. What do you have to say to the allegations?
It was a really doubtful time. A lot of creative decisions were made. I don't think they all panned out as we were hoping. All I can say is that me and Logan Paul, we had a plan. Where it went, it maybe wasn't what we were all hoping, but I really think that the next half of our content map is really going to shape up.
I didn't know Logan Paul owned CEX.
For a lot of fingers, a lot of pies. I can't comment on that, really.
I didn't know Logan Paul had gone to Hawaii.
It was really simple. I just sat outside his mansion. I said I won't leave until you let me paint it, and then we became best friends.
I mean, fair enough.
What colour did you pick?
Beige.
Oh.
That's my favourite colour.
Just represents his natural soul. I just think that's good for him.
I think one day we're going to push this Hawaii thing too far, where then like the Hawaiian government need to put out a statement.
What?
Say,
The natural fucking progression is we go to Hawaii and film a podcast. That's like.
I mean, if we're not careful, we're going to get up.
State.
We're going to end up in Hawaii prison, and Zack Snyder's going to be there, and we all know what happens next.
No, don't say it.
I like how this is no context for the
there
listener.
is nothing.
Stop
to
that.
And you'll never know. Welcome to Urgent Rewrite.
Fuck's sake.
Google Zack Snyder prison.
It's making it seem like he's done something very, very bad here when he just made a dodgy comment a few years ago.
Very dodgy comment.
This is a long time ago. It's not even relevant.
Oh, dude. I love how, like, your thought there, Michelle, was like, oh yeah, let's go to Hawaii and do a podcast. I was thinking, let's go to Hawaii and commit a crime.
We're just going to get off the plane and the police are just going to be
Yeah, I
waiting
feel
there.
like-
Do you
you've
like
literally
They have a
admitted
file just that big, just next to us.
We do like a Mr. Beast type challenge. We show up and we're just like, we have 24 hours to try and commit as many crimes as we can get away with and then leave.
Is that what you're working on with Logan Paul?
Imagine the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark where he is being chased by all the tribesmen. It is Aiden is in the plane and I am being chased by the Hawaiians. Just
I
get
like
us
to
out of
imagine
here.
instead of the Temple of Doom, it's not Temple of Doom. Well, you know, the temple. It's Logan's actually supplied you with a map of like the Prime factory, and you've had to break in and steal like the golden Prime because it's like the new flavor, and we're gonna sell it on the black market to some kid who lives down the street, because they got Prime and Aldi.
Have any of you tried Prime? Is it good?
No.
What is Prime?
It's that energy drink.
Live in that world, Zach. Live in that world.
It's KSI and Logan's energy drink.
Oh, great! Yeah, really interested. Yeah.
Apparently it's not good. We have one of our main Angus tried it, Jake, and he said it was fine. But I think there's quite a few different flavors. There's also a conspiracy that Logan doesn't actually like it because in any like promotional thing where he's holding it and then as a drink from it, it's very obviously empty. And you will never see him holding one.
It's like that 90s commercial that I think it was like Mariah Carey did for Burger King, and at every single shot she's like going up to eat the burger and never does.
She did the same
Never
for
even
Walkers
say.
recently, like a few years ago for a Christmas advert, and then she just and then it would cut away.
I've noticed that happens in a lot of like just anything though. I was watching a TV show last night and they were having lunch and eating, and I just couldn't not focus on the fact that no one was actually eating. They were sort of bringing it up to their mouth for a second, start talking and like put it down again, and it was like they were just sort of like edging themselves with the food.
It was Skins, the I can't remember. It was like one of the early ones where Thingy is talking about how she gets away with not eating and just sort of mashes up her food, and every time she starts to do it, she starts to speak, so it doesn't mean she doesn't do it. But it means every time I see someone in the background just sort of eating, I see exactly that technique of them just like cutting it up, putting it up to their mouth, and then they start talking and put it back down. It's you just once you notice it, you never stop.
Yeah.
Literally the same as NPCs in a game. They're like, they've got a burger, nom 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 nom. It's the exact
Put it
same
down.
thing,
Yeah.
just
Put it down.
like an animatronic.
It's the same as well as this is well not quite the same. This is just I feel like once you know certain tricks they do when making films. So I was rewatching Always Sunny the other day, and I noticed that all of their crisp packets were like perfectly sort of flat, and like when you look inside, it was like brown because it was their like I forgot what they're called, but you know the bags that don't make any noise.
Oh yeah.
So they weren't actual crisp packets basically. And that's a film secret. There you go.
Welcome to Filmmaking 101 with Aiden.
Can you
I
believe
did,
3 people here were
media
maybe once film
A-level.
students?
If guess which one wasn't.
They'll never know.
Speaking of animatronics.
Hang on.
Animatronics.
Speaking of animatronics, because Jake brought it up very well, and then Aiden derailed it into talking about Chris Packett.
Oh, well, that's the way, isn't it? We
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have a segue and someone immediately ignores it.
Yeah.
To be fair, that was an unintentional segue on my part.
Yeah.
Well done,
I
Jacob.
can't
Well done.
say
Well
that
done,
was
well
a planned out.
What do you
First
think
time
of
it's
the
ever been
FNAF trailer?
unintentional.
What do
It's
you guys
nice
think
to
of
see
that
Josh
trailer?
Hutcherson's doing things, you know?
Yeah.
Where's he been?
I'm upset.
He was trapped in the Prime factory. They finally let him out.
Oh.
Do you remember it was when Disaster Artist came out, they hired him to be like specifically the weird guy who wants to have the threesome with like Tommy and gets beaten up by Zac
Yeah.
Efron? It's like,
Oh, no.
poor Josh Hutcherson, like, why did they call him for
He's
that?
had quite the career.
Poor
Is he
guy.
still on that? What's that sci-fi show where it's like time travel? He's got a mop.
What?
I feel like you're making that up.
You talk about the FNAF trailer. I'm going to Google it.
You thinking of the Pandorica Opens?
No.
I can see Josh Hutcherson in that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the
Be
Rogans.
alright. Yeah, I thought it was a decent trailer.
I'm
I thought
legit actually quite excited for everything
Mm.
they sort of announced for FNAF overall, and
Now-
this was a culmination of
Yeah.
that. Of like, it just felt like the horror that they have tried to instill into the story that they haven't been able to tell with the games.
Yeah, like it was like horror was at the forefront, which doesn't seem like it's been at the front of those games since maybe the
Ever.
first one.
It's not
Yeah.
even ever. It's just a jump scare game. Like, it's the fact
Well, I mean, I
that
don't
it's
know,
got
like,
this
it-
much lore in it is insane, really.
Like it taps into kind of like a tangible fear, like in regards to like, oh, what if this like child-friendly thing isn't what you think it is? And I think like that's actually now capitalizing on that idea and taking something interesting with it. And I mean, I like Blumhouse as well. They're pushing it like crazy. I didn't think they would, but
Oh, they're 100% they're going to push it like crazy. It's huge IP. But it's like, it just, it feels vindicating to know that like a story that sort of has been told over however many years now sort of is getting the proper way to tell it rather than random ARGs that lasted about 10 minutes and then
Yeah.
Matt Pat found it, wrote it down and was like, okay, so how does this fit into the timeline that Scott did not think of?
No, Michelle, no. You learn about you experience Five Nights at Freddy's the way you're supposed to, and the way I did, which is sitting down and watching a 10-hour-long lore explanation.
Oh, right. No,
Okay.
I already did that. I watched
And
all of Matt Pat's
honestly,
videos.
that's probably the most engaging content I've ever seen. No, I do think the trailer looks quite good, but I've been loosely following all like the behind the scenes stuff anyway. I was pretty excited for it regardless. I'm not even like a massive fan. Like I said, I've not played the games. I've only just seen the lore. I knew they had Matthew Lillard as Purple
William
Man,
Afton,
Purple
yeah.
guy, William
yeah.
Afton. And he is. I just really like him.
Yeah.
Not William Afton. Matthew Lillard. But yeah, and then I saw they've got Jim Henson's Creature Workshop. They did
Yeah,
the animatronic
that's got
suits,
me. That's what's
which
got me
is
really on
pretty
board.
cool.
It's damn amazing.
No, it just looks very very cool. I
It
will
just
be
feels
seated.
like the film came out a few years ago with Nick Cage. Obviously, I know that was supposed to be the
Yeah.
original
That
FNAF
was
film.
FNAF, yeah.
And then they
was
lost
that?
the...
Nick Cage
Uh,
made a film.
Is it
a
Willy's
t-
Wonderland?
Willy's Wonderland,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was just he was played a silent protagonist, and it was essentially just Five Nights at Freddy's.
But
like,
it was supposed to be
wasn't.
originally, and then they to my understanding, so it could be completely wrong because I read it online, it was like they had all the rights and everything, they'd made the animatronics and whatnot, and then last minute they lost the rights, and so they were like, well, let's make our own animatronics and then make the exact same thing.
I thought it was
It's
just
a
like
good little film.
essentially a fan film thing. Like they sort of were inspired by it. Is what I heard. But fair enough.
Who knows?
If
Who
it was
knows?
that sort
Yeah.
of way, then like I'm glad it went to Blumhouse. To be honest, because that film
Yeah.
kind of definitely didn't do what FNAF could have done. You get Nick Cage and you make him go silent. I don't really know what you're doing.
That
What
was
else
brilliant.
is
There's a bit where he's
Blumhouse?
about to save someone's life, and he's like, no, I'm on my break, I'm going to go play pinball.
Yeah.
I've not seen this. I need to give it a watch.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it as well because it could have gone the route of like, I don't know, if I've only played like the first 3, like it could have had like all the fucking lore and Easter eggs in it, but it looked like accessible. Like it looked like if I'd never seen Five Nights at Freddy's before, like this is a good starting point. Like it was just sold on being like, this is a cool premise rather than here's everything all the fans know and love and Matt Pat jerks off to in his little house.
So
his little house. Picturing like a Fisher Price little house. He's just inside it.
From what I heard, overall, like I keep getting random because I don't even trying to follow it. I think my For You page thinks I'm a FNAF fan when like I've watched like 5 of Matt Pat's videos like 4 years ago and that's it. So I just keep getting random like, oh, this is what's gonna happen in the movie and everything. So from what I understand from what random TikTok people have told me, I assume this is based on the first 3 or 4 games, but with flashbacks to before the bite, and then also like just random lore bits that aren't in the pizzeria, which is just like it feels like they're doing a lot in this movie.
Just to clarify,
yes.
Which bite is that?
The bite of 87.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they showed because there was a shot of Josh Hutcherson surrounded by, like, those kids outside, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Is that, I'm assuming that's one of the flashbacks, but he wasn't there, so I'm assuming it's like a...
Yeah, so I don't know what it's...
they might be going for more like a... lean into like what? Because they're meant to be ghosts possessing the suits or something, isn't it?
No, children, dead children.
Well, yeah, no, children ghosts.
Yeah.
Dead children can also be ghosts, Michelle.
I guess, sure.
They can multitask.
That's true. There's actually no poltergeists in the FNAF universe. That's just a fact.
No. Oh.
Is the thing that always annoyed me about the first FNAF game, not that I ever played it, but just in principle, is you only have like a finite amount of power, like your resources that you have to look after. Why does it cost energy to have the doors shut? Surely it would only cost energy to have the doors move, Like what a failure of architecture.
It's because they're like the vacuum sealed doors, so they've got to hold them together because otherwise they will break through or pull them apart.
But how, when you got murderous animatronics, just like, don't do it.
Maybe if you got murderous animatronics, just do it in a separate building elsewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That might be better.
I hope they get like really fucked up. I want to see one of them eat a human being. I want to see like it actually.
Do we know what age rating this is going to be?
I reckon it'll be a 15. I reckon.
I'm
they can
thinking
get
12A.
away with a lot with a 15.
Yeah. Like I just want to see like something very like
12A. They
visceral.
could also get away with a lot as well because Guardians was 12A.
True.
That was pretty. There's people complaining about that actually, that it was quite I don't know, morbid for a 12A, but like 12As aren't supposed to be family friendly. It's the reason it's not a 12.
I think people are just used to the assumption now that 12As are PGs, where it's like,
Yeah.
I can.
I think people have forgotten there is a
like,
difference.
oh no, you are supposed to evaluate: is this right for? Is this right for my child?
You're supposed to parent, is what you're supposed to
Parents don't like parenting anymore. They expect the YouTubers or whoever they hand them off to do it themselves.
I bought this 18 game for my 5-year-old and it's not appropriate for them. What's going on here? We had someone come in for John Wick with like 2 5-year-olds.
Well done.
And we were
well
like,
done.
I've had the same.
It's a 15, they're not going to be allowed in there. Why is that then? But they're my kids. Sorry, it's the law.
Yes, literally, yeah. Would you like me to explain maths?
Even their added ages. Even if you put them in a trench coat, they still can't come in. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's why we have it on a board on like on a wall that says like the law of like fucking age rating. It's like you clearly aren't going to look it up, so go over here and read it, and then come back and get Mario tickets instead.
You're talking about that height chart that's in...
No, that's another one.
That height chart. There's a height chart and it's completely off.
It's very off.
They had Puss in Boots taller than Mario, They had Spider-Man as like 5'5". Who was the one? Someone was meant to be the same height as me.
Oh, you mean like a character? I thought you meant.
Yeah,
I thought you meant you have to be this tall to see this film.
No, it's like
You
a
have to be this
character
tall
You're
to
too
ride the
short
roller
to see
coaster.
Five
I
Nights
was
at Freddy's, I'm
baffled
sorry.
by it because they had Puss in Boots at like 4 foot tall. I'm like, he's a fucking cat.
Yeah.
He's a cat who stands up.
Yeah, but if you hold up a cat,
wears
they
boots.
can get very tall.
They can get very
Really?
tall, but
Long
but
boys.
not that tall. Not
Do they have a
almost
minion,
double the
though?
height of Michelle.
Oh, fuck you.
Did they have a minion?
I don't remember there being a minion.
'Cause did you see the thing on like minions are supposed to be 4 foot tall, which makes Gru like 12 foot
I can see that. He's a big boy.
in the
Yeah.
Despicable Me lore. See, while you were there watching your FNAF lore videos, I was there grinding away on Despicable Me.
People try and
Oh,
cancel
dear.
the minions by saying if they were serving the most evil people, they would have served Hitler at one point,
No,
which
but that's
is
the
wrong.
point.
Because if you pay attention to the film, they were clearly in the ice cave during that period of time.
Exactly.
So you're not a real minion head. Fucking pay attention.
Can you imagine Schindler's List, but it's like all the characters are minions?
Schindler's List bit, it's just Gru.
We're on some very dodgy ground here. No.
Remember his speech, instead of like we're going to steal the moon, it's we're going to steal...
I'm very worried of what you're going to finish that sentence with.
Speaking of dodgy ground, let's maybe move to what Activision's been up to
Yeah.
lately.
I
And
was going to
Blizzard's
say,
been-
it's no longer the Hawaiian government after us, it's now everyone.
Alright, well, Activision Blizzard.
Phew,
What a piece of shit company.
what a garbage fire.
What a fucking awful... So,
What's been happening?
So, Overwatch 2 came out late last year. When was it? Like November? Something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, it was around sort of then, yeah.
It came out to absolute disappointment because it did nothing. Like, everything that it promised, they said, oh, it's coming. And so we all were like, oh, okay, so we'll wait until it's there. And we'll play it just because, you know, different experience to what Overwatch 1 was. You've got rid of a whole character in the game. That's, you know, it changes the balancing of the whole system. And, like, you added a few new maps. There's a couple of new heroes. It looks pretty nice now. That's cool. This could have been an upgrade to Overwatch 1, but at least you're adding in a whole new, like, area of the game, the PvE, that's coming out in a year, that's going to be the full game. And then it'll be done. It'll be a completely new experience. About 2 days ago, they announced in a dev talk that everything that they announced in BlizzCon 2019 for PvE, which was the hero mode, which was going to be like a skill tree-esque sort of PvE system where you can upgrade your characters and have different abilities, which is really interesting considering everyone's played Overwatch the exact same way for 7 years now. So it'd be nice to try different things and, you know, try different builds and stuff. Hero Mastery, which could have been really interesting, sort of like getting your own upgrades to characters and things like that. And then also a proper story mode that would have actually had different missions that would have been like levels that they create and things like that. They've scrapped all that and are now doing story missions in the system that they had already been doing it in Overwatch 1, which were just random missions that they release every so often that are on live servers that you can just join and play with people, go through them in about 5 minutes, get really bored after doing it once, and then never do it again.
They're pretty mindless. The most lore you get is sort of the intro animation at the start and the end. You get maybe a few lines in the middle.
Yep.
But for the most part, it's just it's like Man versus Machine for
Team Fortress 2.
2.
Yeah.
But arguably worse.
Well, Man vs. Machine is what Junkertown Junkertown was. It was Junkenstein.
Yeah.
That was just like, it was hordes of zombies that you fight, and that's interesting as like a concept, and that's what could have been really good about the hero mode, and then
But
they
the
just
issue is-
deleted it.
Junkenstein's Revenge isn't even quite the same because with Man vs. Machine you get the upgrades as well. You can actually, you know, build your character up between
True.
rounds with Junkenstein. It's just constant.
Well,
and
that's
there's
what that's what the hero mode
building
would have been,
upgrades,
essentially, right? So
Yeah, but with actual also story, I don't know.
This is
Well,
the
we don't-
thing.
We don't know entirely, but
this is the thing, is all of this is speculative of what it could have been. It's never going to happen anymore because they've cancelled it.
Yeah.
And Blizzard, I doubt, are going to go back on it, no matter the stink that's made, because it doesn't make the money.
No.
They changed it to be a free game, so they don't have to think about it anymore. The thing that really, really, really pisses me off is Overwatch 1 in 2019 had already stopped receiving like proper game updates because the dev team had just stopped. They were in the midst of everything going wrong with Diablo Immortal because it was a mobile game that Diablo fans wanted for. They also had the free Hong Kong shit that just, they banned Hearthstone casters from being there because they supported Hong Kong. And then May became a mascot for free Hong Kong because of it, Overwatch character, which is insane. But Blizzard refused to ever acknowledge that because they have stakes in China.
Did they cease and desist that, or did they just not?
Yes, they did.
They fully banned them. Yeah,
but you can't cease and desist every fan art that ever exists. So people just kept going with it. But that's all to say. From that point onwards, from the point of BlizzCon 2019, which was them going, "We're sorry for all of this. We're sorry." It was them just saying it, and then all of a sudden randomly announcing Overwatch 2 like 4 years too early. They just done a cinematic. That's all they had done. Apparently, in the background, they had started making the game, and there was stuff at BlizzCon. But from what I remember people saying from that BlizzCon, they were just the archive-style missions that we're going to get now.
Yeah.
So it did nothing.
Regardless of why they pushed it out, if it was too early to try and cover the Hong Kong stuff and the Diablo stuff, regardless of whatever reason they pushed it out for, the Overwatch 1 was still being neglected and dying. So if they had waited to push out the update, it still would have been another year or so with absolutely nothing, with no transparency from the developers about what was going on, just letting the game die, doing like one balance change sort of every 6 months where they just sort of pick a name out of a hat and just rework one hero, awfully. They left Overwatch 1 to just die while they went and worked on the new one. And then they also pushed it out early because they were like, oh wait, shit, Overwatch 1 is dying and we're losing players.
Yeah.
So they fucked themselves over, whichever way you look at it.
And they've taken away Overwatch 1 now, haven't they? So it's
Overwatch 1 doesn't exist.
This is what
screwed no more.
This is what I want to say, is that because they had announced it, all of the dev team went to Overwatch 2 because Overwatch 2 was the new thing that was coming out. They had to focus on it, and PvE was the thing they were building from the ground up. They had an engine already because they'd already started working Diablo 4. They had an engine ready. So they were working their way up on what this system could have been. They were just adding all these textures and everything, just recreating the maps. Absolutely fine. I don't think anyone's going to complain about them spending time on Overwatch 2. But the fact is, all of that dev time was supposed to be on the PvE, and all 3.5 years when there was no update for Overwatch 1, where people got one deathmatch map in that entire time, people who were actually playing it actively, who were doing the competitive scene, who were like getting all these exclusive like things to show, nothing. They got nothing for 3.5 years because we were going, PvE is going to come out, Overwatch 2 is going to come out, it's going to be great. Overwatch 2 comes out, huge disappointment because they added 3 heroes, a new game mode, and 2 maps. All of them sucked.
It's not just that, they also took out an entire pool of maps because they removed TCP, which was...
Yep, it's coming back because...
It's coming back, finally. Because, they're drip-feeding us stuff we already had to make it look like progress.
Because Overwatch 2 isn't finished.
Because when Overwatch 2 came out, it was a gutted version of Overwatch 1.
Because my extent of knowledge on the first one is, like, I played the beta and stuff, and then whenever it had a free weekend, I'd maybe hop into it, but never religiously or anything. But one of my friends was so ride or die on it, like, stupid amount of hours. And then not long before Overwatch 2 came out, they bought a discless PS5. And so we're like, I'm going to have to rebuy a whole load of my games again. And so paid full price for Overwatch 1. And then a month later, the servers go down.
I'd be fuming.
It's like...
The thing is as well, for people who bought the game, I think all we got, Michelle, because me and Michelle bought the game when Overwatch 1 when it first came out, when it was actually a good game. What did we didn't even get, because they've changed like what the game is, a service model. There's now Battle Pass, so if you want to unlock the new character now, you either buy the Battle Pass and get it level. You either get it level 1 in the Battle Pass, or you grind to like level 45 and get it then. So all skins now, other than Battle Pass ones, are 20 quid. So if you play an event, there's no free loot boxes, there's no free skins, there's no way to earn anything basically for free anymore, because you can earn in-game currency, but at a rate of like 60 coins a week if you fucking grind your missions, which I can't be fucked to do because I don't enjoy the game anymore. So whereas before it's like I could play an event, actually enjoy it, play it quite a bit, and I could get most of the skins just from playing. It's now, no, if you want to spend 20 quid, you can buy one skin that isn't even worth 20 quid because none of the skins are good.
To me, I don't really care that loot boxes are gone. Like, there was never a thing that actually mattered
No,
to
it's
me.
just another thing that pisses me off, though.
It's just the fact that, like, there should be a system where they are actually incentivizing you to keep playing, which they don't have. They've never managed to figure out a system that works for that. The last one they had was giving you random loot boxes. No one's kept playing because of it. I know people who've never opened half of them. So that's just it. It wasn't a system that was sustainable. It never was going to work. Battle pass system is the new predatory thing that everyone seems to do, that everyone seems to be fine with.
Yeah.
I never understood it. I still buy into it, sure, because I like some games and I like to, support those games that I like. But like the only reason I buy the Overwatch ones are because I want the heroes, and I don't play enough of Overwatch to, like, if I at some point in like 2 years' time decide I really want to play Overwatch like properly again, I will be missing out on so many heroes that I have to spend several hundred quid on different fucking currencies to go and buy these heroes again, so that I can be up to date in the meta.
There is, they add, after the season where they get added ends, they add like hero quests. So if it's like a new healer that you ended up not unlocking, you then have to go and win like 20 healer games, and then you unlock the new one.
I thought you had to buy them no matter what.
No, you can unlock them through quests.
Either way.
You can buy them. There's the option to buy them, but I unlocked Ramattra last season afterwards by just winning tank
But
games.
that's just like, it's just adding more and more systems to like disincentivize you from
and obviously if you miss a lot of them, all of that's gonna add up quite a bit once you try and start unlocking them.
I think they rushed this release either way. That I don't think anyone's ever going to say that's like the wrong take. This game needed multiple years left to be decent.
Oh, they also completely ruined the rank system.
Yeah, but they are slowly fixing that. But either
They
way,
are slowly.
this is it just really annoys me, the fact that like this is what the players who actually do love this game, like I used to love this game, I grew up, but there are people who actively play this game all the time. Like there are pros who love this game, and I keep watching like random streams from Overwatch streamers like fucking Seagull and Super, all these people like they actually are just playing other stuff. Like they used to be pros and play this religiously day in day out, and I'm just seeing Apex Legends and fucking Valorant on their fucking Twitch stream, and you're like, this. You were fucking.
To be fair.
You were Overwatch League people. You played competitively in this league. You were like religious to this league, and then like I know some of you retired. Most of you did, but like you were playing it constantly after that still, and yet now you're just moving off because Overwatch kind of just disappointed you.
Have they added any new characters for
Yes.
Overwatch 2?
They add a new one every season.
No, every other season.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Even being a complete like layman to the first Overwatch, it had very recognisable, distinct characters. I could probably name quite a few, but I haven't really seen anything about the second one.
Some of the new characters are alright.
Yeah.
The worst example is they added Sojourn, who is just a total blank slate of a character. Her personality trait is she's a soldier.
But she already had.
But which they're aware of, though, because they've poked fun at it in-game. Because they did an event with a Roadhog where he introduces all the characters and he's got actual interesting stuff to say about everyone else. And then he just refers to her by, like, her name and rank, and that's it. So they're aware she's a nothing character.
Oh no, because the point was they were spending too much time on Kiriko's backstory, which was she's also a Korean person who knows Genji and Hanzo.
Well, the issue is they keep adding.
they don't actually
They introduce characters. They give them here's a bunch of backstory for them that we'll eventually explore one day. And now we've got 30, almost 40 characters probably, with none of them with fully fleshed out backstory, apart from the few ones who occasionally get a cinematic. Which is another thing. I think since the Kiriko one, I don't think we've had a cinematic.
I want to also sort of put it to it the fact that like the whole point of this story mode that we were going to get was to give us a story to Overwatch, because overall there isn't one. Like
yeah, it's what fans have made, what they've latched onto. Yeah,
I was talking about this like after Overwatch 2 had come out, because I was like, I wanted to know why we are on the second one and why they'd reformed Overwatch, because the whole point is Overwatch was a system to fight the Omnics, disbanded at some point, and now they're reforming. I thought this was them reforming for Overwatch 2 multiple years later after Overwatch 1. No, this is just them reforming. So there is no time gap. This is the start of Overwatch. So there is actually no story between the 7 years that have existed that we can latch onto. The story.
They said the first game was non-canon,
which is 7
when it
years.
first came out.
7 years of
They
cinematics
said that one.
canon.
Oh no, the cinematics are canon. It's in game, all that's non-canon. So it was.
That's hilarious to me.
But that is the point. There should have been some canon. That's the archive mission.
Well, no, there is canon. The cinematics are canon. Some of the uprising events were canon. It's more any of like the in-game interactions aren't canon. So no, there is story. There's the Overwatch disbanded, and then any of the cinematics take place. Any of the.
But those are mostly flashback cinematic.
Yeah.
So they aren't even during Overwatch. The Overwatch 2 is the start of Overwatch reforming.
Yeah, this is the lore post.
So this is the point. This is like, I get
but
your
that's an issue regardless, because there's still no story in the game anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a redundant point. But
that's what I'm trying to say is that everyone's sighing here because it doesn't fucking like these cinematics are what we like, because like those bits are the TV show that we want to Overwatch essentially. Like, we all want that fucking Netflix show that's arcane style fucking graphics. It'd be fucking cool.
It'd be brilliant.
It'd be so good. And then that's what the story mode could have been for Overwatch 2. And then they're now gutting it and make it into these like instance little, Anthem-esque things. It's not going to be fun. Yeah. Like, even when you do play it, you aren't going to have anything in there that's going to go, oh, Overwatch is sick,
And this is the company that Microsoft is paying billions of dollars for that can't do anything that isn't now brand damaging. Like,
yeah, they're over.
Well, I mean,
I
suppose in that thing, it's only numbers that talk, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be like Candy Crush and stuff that are making the money for
Call of Duty and everything. Yeah.
Which it's like even with Call of Duty, they've said like, oh, we're just going to take it's like leaked that they're going to take the back end of their next battle pass and they're just going to release that as Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you buying? Like, you're buying just sticks and gum. Like, there's a promise of something that you'll fix 5 years down the line, but it was like hilarious to me when they said, oh yeah, we're still going to do BlizzCon this year. But that's going to be a war zone. That's going to be, you can't walk that. Yeah, there'll be some Diablo fans who I'm sure will be very happy, but I'd be shocked if there was an Overwatch panel. That'd be nothing.
In to sort of bring that back, it's Overwatch 2. I don't think those developers wanted to get rid of PvE, because clearly, if there are 3.5 years of abandoned content, that has to go on to something, right? They can't have just jumped ship and worked on WoW for 3 years. Like, they were working on Overwatch 2. They were the Overwatch team. So then it's not like Valve where you can just pick a project and work on it for a few minutes and then get pressured into working on the next thing that Gabe will, cancel. It's that this team was working on Overwatch 2. They were working on the PvE, and that is all gone because Activision Blizzard, saw the money that they were making from the Battle Pass on Overwatch 2 and went, well, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
It is entirely these higher ups that don't care. And this is the thing, is like, if they are working still on profit motive right now, it's assumed that these people think they're going to keep their jobs after Microsoft merge.
Well, I
Like,
think they're so embedded in it now. It's like
They're
can't
gonna
get rid
stay
of it.
chairs. They're gonna stay people who are part of this. Bobby Kotick, every single time, fucking Phil Spencer goes and is pressured on that question of, is Bobby Kotick known fucking actual like
Actual predator.
Yeah, actual
like,
predator cover up of predator, like Freddy, whatever. Like that sort of shit is like, this guy. It should just be an easy say. Oh yeah, no, we're just gonna get rid of him as soon as we merge, of course, because he's a liability to this company, and he can't.
I
say
mean,
that.
anyone who's doing things like that just shouldn't have a job, let alone platform. To do
No,
that.
he absolutely shouldn't. But he's also the head of Blizzard Entertainment, so it's kind of Activision Blizzard. It's kind of impossible
Is
to
there
remove
a
him.
police investigation into?
There were several,
Yeah,
but I think it's been
well, the
just
state
like
of California sued him.
yeah.
Oh,
It's the thing where it's like
hated
he's
it.
just so embroiled in it. Like it'd be like saying like right, cut off a leg and still exist without it. Like he's so stuck there. Like even if you want to get rid of him, it's going to be a hell of a long process to remove him.
It'll
like
be the chair.
financially and legally.
The
right?
chair has to sort of vote him out, which they won't do because he does make the money, right? This is the
makes a scary
decision that
amount of
made
money.
the money, right? So it's not like it's not a dumb decision from a business standpoint. It's just the fact that if people are going to act like Microsoft are going to save Overwatch, like once Microsoft eventually buy them because the UK court can't block them forever, which they can. They can't actively do what they are expecting to do anymore. Like, it's just Overwatch 2 itself cannot be the game that people wanted it to be. And even if Microsoft own it, it just means Microsoft are a bigger company.
Yeah.
the only point of reference I have for like, oh, the board can vote him off is like Succession. That's the only. That's
It's
how
like
I'm keeping like
Yeah.
up to pace with this conversation.
Phil Spencer is just Kendall Roy sprinting through New York, just desperately trying to get to the boardroom in time.
There's a vote of no confidence.
Just there's just a Microsoft exec sat there, and then Bobby Kotick like, better be sniffing your armpit, Romulus. Just
Did you see the thing of like, if it is just the UK one blocking it, that the deal could earn more money for Microsoft than the whole of the UK market, so they might just leave it. It's like, what? No,
Yeah.
please. I like spying games, please.
Yeah.
It was like a really funny thing when it's like the last couple of weeks, like the BBC News has reported on things like this and how much money Zelda is meant to bring in, and my parents were just sort of like, they make how much? How can that be possible? And I was like, guys, don't even get us started. Like, we haven't got all night.
Part of the point. This is as big as Disney Fox merge. Like, I think we didn't treat Disney Fox merger as big as we should have, because this is like, it's two of the biggest giants in video games. A whole subsect company, like, corporation thing that has just been going under the radar for so long because they get government subsidies all of the time because, they don't make any money because all of it goes to their stocks that they can go force into another game, which they overpredict in money so they can make more. And then they fire people after it's done because, why would you keep them on? Why would you do that? So that's their system, and so they made so much money from this. I think the point being the UK are blocking it because they have too much money. They don't have too much money. Most of it's government money, and they know that. And that's because Take-Two do the same thing. Take-Two gets so much money from the UK government every year because they just apply for it because they make no money.
Yeah. They only need to drop like one particular game a year, and it's like, right, well then now you're helping the economy, so we'll give you some money for that. But it's in between all that time, it's
because isn't it the cloud gaming space, which is why the UK board have blocked it.
Yep.
Which I can understand because it's getting so much bigger now. Like, I know Stadia has failed and crashed and burned, but like, it's only inevitable by the time others start jumping on it. Like Sony, baby steps, they'll do it and they'll swing their dick around if they say, we're not happy with it, only Daddy Phil gets to play with this. Like,
Stadia wanted to just be what Game Pass is, and Game Pass can't be the thing that is the gold standard of video games forever. Like, at some point, that's going to go, oh, we need to put that on every platform because this is not incentivizing competition.
Yeah. It's like even Phil says himself, like he was on that podcast where he's like, oh yeah, we admit we are firmly in third place. Game Pass will not last us forever. Like it's... So...
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much, like, good games that I think would have struggled without Game Pass, like Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush and stuff. And they're the kind of things where it's like, I'd much prefer these smaller, more like artistic driven games and whatnot, but obviously they don't bring in the same amount of money and audience as a Call of Duty or an Overwatch. Yeah. So you kind of always need to find the balance of commercial and art, and how do you necessarily do that? But
my final plea on the Overwatch stuff is, can all of the people from the Overwatch team, just leave and make a game over with that PvE stuff? Because everything that you promised, I'm sure there is some developer out there. I'm sure Bungie, I'm sure like anyone would go, oh yeah, we will take that and we will make something out of that. It won't be the exact same system.
People will support it.
Holy shit, that would be a great game.
Yeah.
I want that system somewhere, and I want to follow the development team, see where they're going.
Unfortunately, that's probably a lot of that is just like Blizzard's intellectual property and shit.
Yeah, no, a lot of that will be, but they can.
I know, obviously the characters, but
they'll patent
they'd have to make it all from the ground up, like as best they can remember.
Yeah. Anyway, on to more positive gaming news.
What about building a game, or a game that lets you build things?
10 million copies in 3 days.
Fucking hell. Is that what it
is?
That's what it is.
I had no idea Minecraft 2 was doing that one.
For reference, that is more than the total lifetime sales of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. In 3 days, they did that. That's...
Just for the folks at home, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the new Zelda, baby. It's fine. I think I'm the only person who has.
Nice.
So I'll keep it completely spoiler free. It's believe the hype, like genuinely, like the scores that it's being given, I think honestly are justified. Like playing it is everything that I kind of look for in something in a game like this. Like pure extrinsic motivation. Like you are convinced yourself that you want to progress through this. It's really, really nice to have a game that actually works. Like I see so much of like games, like I was playing Jedi Survivor a couple of weeks ago that has problems on PS5. This is flawless. I've played like maybe nearly 30 hours now, and I've had 20 seconds of slowdown like once on hardware from 2015, and it just works. Like the amount of like systems on it should be games in themselves. Like it's insane how well they were. The rest of the industry is like pointing and saying like, how the fuck did you make this work? Like you can, there's an ability where it's like if you've got the ceiling, you can pass through it. Any other studio made that should break. You should be clipping through like the sky and everything, but it fucking works. Like it's a game where I can build a giant like dick out of rocks, levitate it, rotate it, and then rewind time so it goes like a fucking helicopter, and then fire that at a troll, and I've killed a boss with a giant dick. Like no other video game can achieve that. Like where else is that being made?
Feels like an analogy of something game. And I can't figure out what.
Yeah.
I've got to say, no reviewers maybe want to play it more than just that there, but
it's beyond words like what they do. I mean, it's got its problems. Like if you don't like Breath of the Wild, there's nothing here for you. Like it's exactly that again. Like if that did nothing for you as a game, then they're not even interested in trying to service you. They've just taken what was there and tripled it. Like there's everything that's in the sky, there's everything that's down below, which is terrifying, which is some of the scariest stuff I've done in a video game in forever.
From a story point, does it feel like it justifies being a sequel? Because I heard Breath of the Wild finished pretty solidly.
In a way, yeah, because it's sort of like very much how you play Breath of the Wild. It's like things have already happened, like you're just seeing the aftermath of it. this is very much like a narrative is like taking place, things are affecting it, going past like time travel is like physically involved in this narrative, and it's like you're interweaving different things as it goes forward, and there's so many more interesting relationships going forward, and it like things was like, oh yeah, you didn't really talk about that in Breath of the Wild, did you? This is like a whole segment of it in this game, and it's like, okay, so you guys really went to town on this. Like, I get why it took them 6 years. Like, I get why we waited as long as we did, because it was just everything about it is like there's something new to find. Like,
it'd be nice if all AAA games took that long.
Yeah, that's. I mean, like, it's. Yeah, like the fact that this can exist on the same console as Pokemon, it can make the exact same numbers, like sold the same amount, and
I feel like this kind of invalidates the argument that Pokemon would have been fine. It's just a hardware issue.
Yeah, it really does. Like,
it feels like that old school thing of like the Nintendo seal of like quality seal of approval, basically.
very much so.
Whereas, like, obviously, I understand like Pokemon and whatnot have their issues, but when it's in-house Nintendo, you rarely see like a Mario game or a Zelda have big issues.
Like, it feels like at the same time it's such a swan song for the Switch, but at the same time it lays down such a precedent of like, here's how many more years we could get out of this system if we work like this. Like, it feels like a definitive end, but also like, if you wanted to spend another 5 years with this console, I don't want you to, but you can. Like, the sole criticisms of it, I think, is like, maybe for me personally, like, it doesn't contain, like, you know, when you first play Breath of the Wild and like you run out of that cave and you see this, like, the cliff, and it's just like, go, you are free, do as you please, this is your story now. This one guides you for the first few hours a little bit more, but it needs to, because it needs to bake like those mechanics into you. Like, you know, in the first Portal game, like, GLaDOS says to you, like, now you're thinking with portals.
Yeah.
That kind of never really applied to me in Portal, but in this, I'm now thinking with portals. Like, I'm so entrenched in how the physics engine is going to work. Like, there's these little characters, like, you have to, like, transport from one area to another as a challenge, and it was, like, all the way up, like, on the other side of an island, there was a big gap, so I was like, I know, I'll attach a rocket to it. Fucker flies millions of miles away, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even account for how I'm going to turn that off when he gets to the other side. Like, it's so... It works as though it would work in real life. Like, I built a boat with, like, propellers. It was going through the sea. I jumped off too early. It swung the boat forward. It smashed me in the face, and then I drowned in the water. It was like, this happens nowhere else, but it's just the amount of things you can break. Like, Jake has shown me, like, people building obelisks with, like, flamethrower dicks. Like, it's... People are going to be spending the next decade building things out of this. Like, it feels...
Like, it's been out for a week and already seen what people have done. Yeah.
It's scary. Like, I know it's really premature, but I genuinely think this game is going to be like a Resident Evil 4 or an Ocarina of Time, where it's like things are genuinely changed after this. Like, executives are going to take all the fucking wrong lessons from it. It's like, oh yeah, everything needs to be crafting now. Everything needs to be multiple worlds. It's like, no, just give some players some opportunity to be creative and have some fun with it. Like, it's... I feel like I'm 10 years old again, and I've enjoyed that greatly. I haven't felt that from when most of the big games this year have been remakes. It's so nice to just get lost in something again and just have no idea what's going to happen and just really enjoy it.
On my devil's advocate vibe, I've been playing just because the series for 8x years.
Yeah.
I've built many a system that takes me around different places. I've built rockets that go into space with grapple hooks and things like that. Is this system the same?
It's very similar in regards to like what you can build with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's then how you sort of like interact it with the world around you, like in regards to how you shouldn't be able to do things with it, but you can. Like, there was a moment in the game where it was like you have to reach like a high cliff, and it's like most people will tell you just use the ability and get up there. I built a fucking bridge out of trees. It's like it presents interesting enough options for you to then make you think creatively about what you're going to do with your own creativity. Like,
Does it feel like there's anything that holds you back in that sense? Because my main issue with a lot of games that do have like these sort of buildy aspects, or like you could do it in any different way you want. I've played like Far Cry and they've gone, approach this mission however you want, and then I go up on top of a hill and they tell me I'm out of the mission zone. It's like, well, I can't approach it the way that I wanted then. You know?
I'm yet to run into one.
Okay.
Like, genuinely, like, that sounds like high praise, but it's like the only times it's ever gotten where I've been like, well, fuck, that's a bit annoying, or that's broken, is when I fucked it up.
Yeah.
Where it's like when I've done something stupid and I've broken the puzzle because I timed it wrong or something. It's never been kind of the game preventing me from doing it. Like, genuinely, it says, here's how you need to get over there. There's 5 options for you to do it. All of them will work in some capacity. And
Okay.
I think I'm very, very scared for Nintendo what they do next, because I don't know. Take a fucking bow, the guys who made this. Like, I don't know what you add to open worlds after this game.
Because even just going through Breath of the Wild, I love that kind of sense of exploration where it's like, it feels like you shouldn't be able to go there because every other open world game has taught you, you can't go up the side of a mountain because you just slide down it, whereas in Breath of the Wild you can actually climb it. It feels like, oh, I feel like I shouldn't be doing this kind of thing, where it's like, feels like it's like my adventure kind of thing. Creating your own stories in it and stuff.
Because it's the thing with like this as well, like, it doesn't, I don't want to say it makes Breath of the Wild obsolete, but in a way it kind of does. And that's weirdly scary to me, given that's one of the biggest games ever, and yet, like, you know when you played Saints Row 4 and you could like run around and jump and fly and shit, and you would never use the cars again, you would never use guns because the superpowers were just so much fun? They've looked at that and thought, right, so we need to take everything that's old and we need to make it as interesting as it used to be.
Yeah.
Like, you have no reason to use a horse in this game. They've given you interesting reasons to go and find horses and, like, build a stable and, like, continue to do stuff like that. I could go on for forever. I'm not going to. All I'll say is that Game of the Year is going to be very boring now because I don't see a reality where this doesn't win.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think the only thing that can challenge it is Spider-Man and Starfield, and even then, I don't think they can.
Like, Spider-Man out this year?
Yeah.
Supposedly, yeah. I think it's, like, been mentioned.
We've seen nothing of it recently.
I think we'll see it next week because there'll be the PlayStation showcase and probably drop a big trailer.
I have been playing Breath of the Wild because I did get like a bunch of like videos shown to me of Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, I kind of want to play that, but I never finished Breath of the Wild, so I should play Breath of the Wild first. As I knew that if I didn't play Breath of the Wild, because like when I first played Breath of the Wild, I got really annoyed at some of the systems. And then I was like, if I'm going to play Tears of the Kingdom and I don't enjoy these systems still, like in Breath of the Wild, then what makes me think I'm going to enjoy them in Tears of the Kingdom? Because most of these systems seemingly look the same.
Because they've kind of made them a hell of a lot more worse.
Oh, good.
Which is what's really interesting, because, like, you know, everyone hates weapon degradation in that game.
They made it worse.
They've kind of made it so that the weapons break even more quickly, but when they're normal. So you have to get really inventive of, like,
how you can
so I'm now going to attach, what am I going to build? Like, it physically forces you into those systems, and it does it creatively, and it's like, the rain still makes you slide off the cliffs. I've got to think of, like, right, what's going to get me up there now?
Yeah.
And I mean, even, they talk about, like, oh, do I need to have played Breath of the Wild before this? You really don't. Like, all you need to know is that Ganon got beat and you reunited with Zelda. Like,
what? No way.
The only benefit I think you're really going to see is when you know that map and you go back now and you see how significantly it's changed, how people have become new people and, like, how they're trying new things. And
yeah,
like, if you need to play it, great, but you could just jump in on this one. I don't think you'd have any problems.
Fair enough. Either way,
it's not...
the systems that I have problems with in Breath of the Wild, I genuinely got really mad at it yesterday.
Oh yeah,
because there was like, I don't think Breath of the Wild does a good job of like telling you how to to fight some of the mobs. Like the Guardian, there is no way to figure that out unless you just do it.
Yeah,
they just don't tell you what you're supposed to do, and I understand that they want to do world building. They want to make you go, I'm going to try different ways to do it, but it's like, I definitely just don't have the equipment to do this, but you're not telling me that, and you're not telling me how to do that, you're not telling me where to go, because this whole world actually has no zone. Like, you know how open worlds have zones where you go, I'm going to go to this bit because it's going to be my level, and then I'm going to go up there and up there. I could go all the way over there, but I know I might die.
Yeah. Which I think why
no way
you'd maybe like Tears, because you start with that one island in the sky, And as
Yeah.
I said, they tell you what you need to do. It's like the first quarter of it is learning about how you build. The second is about how combat, like, and how you then infuse. And then it's also about traversal is the third area. And then it's as soon as like it's baked in and you're comfortable with it, it's like, right, now jump off that cliff and then go back down onto the ground and fucking go crazy with it. It's a lot more like, it gives you like a big hug and it won't let you go, but that's because it needs to teach you.
One of my biggest criticisms with Breath of the Wild is the world does feel quite empty, where it's like, if I'm going to go exploring, it's either going to be a shrine or like a treasure chest kind of thing. What else am I going to find whilst exploring? Does that change at all with Tears of the Kingdom?
Massively so, because like, if I talk about, say, like the shrines, like, they were really fucking dull in that first game. In this one, the puzzles are so interesting. I had to build like a pinball machine for one of them. I had to build a roller coaster for another. Just even out in the world, like, there's interesting little characters to spot that were never there before. Like, there's a guy that you constantly run into, and he's like, can you help me hold up my sign? So you have to craft, like, different stands to help him make it move. There was this little old house that in the first one that had this sweet old man in it. I was like, oh, I'll go back and see if he's there. I went back now, and it was, like, spikes all around it, and it had been invaded by, like, this death cult. The second I went in, they wanted me dead. And I was like trapped and I couldn't get out, and it was like so many more interesting things.
Where's the old man?
He's gone. We don't
dead.
know. It's like, even if you're just wandering through the world, there'll be so many moments where pieces of the sky will just fall out. You get on it, you rewind time, you fly back up, and you've got a whole new area to explore.
Oh,
It's
sweet.
just
That's like good dynamic sort of exploration. Like they understand. Oh, I'm in this area. I want to go up there now.
yeah.
That's
And
kind
it's
of
like
cool.
it never like tells you no.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many warning signs about you going into the underground. Like, I went anyway. It's pitch black, you can't see anything, and there's things down there that's terrifying, and they will kill you immediately. The game never told me no. It was like, you can do this. It was just... I can't recommend it enough. I sincerely suggest you get it all as soon as you can. 'Cause-
Yeah, I do want to play it. I'm planning to play through Breath of the Wild first, because I've not played it at all. I've owned it for about 3 years and I just haven't got around to playing it. I started it the other day. I just finished the first shrine. I just haven't sat down and kept playing yet. I just find tutorial stages quite frustrating,
Yeah,
especially with games like
makes
that, because
sense, yeah.
I know what I can go and do when I want to go and start doing that, but I've got to get
Yeah.
through this like forced sort of tutorial bit first, and it always sort of loses my interest. But I know once I'm done with that, I should probably enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But
It's like now everyone's calling for like, oh, we need a new Nintendo console and everything. Like, I've had my Switch for a few years now, and it feels like I'm only now falling in love with it, because beforehand it was like literally just a Tetris machine. And then whereas now I've been like playing Dredge and things on it, and like Breath of the Wild and whatnot, and it's just nice to I can take this on the go. I can take this anywhere, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas
I've heard Dredge is
just
good.
nice
Dredge
to
is very
actually.
fun.
Yeah,
It's
incredibly
very
fun.
Very very
I
good.
want to play it. I just can't afford it right now.
I mean, like, we talk about that Switch, but like, they've got Pikmin for the rest of the year, and that's it. We don't know what's next. I think.
I do hope if they make a new console. I know Nintendo are obsessed with like innovating and, you know, trying new stuff, but I think they've found it. Like, this is the one that fucking works. Just make a better version of it. Like, we don't need a completely new.
Well, that's what
System
really
next.
worries me, is I think they aren't going to do a Switch 2. It'll be a Switch U, you know? Like, we'll get some weird system that they've added onto it that you're like, I don't care about that bit. And it's also, everyone's going to think this is an upgrade, so why the fuck would they buy it?
Surely they'll have learned, though. At the very least, if they've done that, they will know to market it as this is the next Switch. It is actually better. It
Let's
just also
hope.
has some weird fucking remote that no game properly utilizes.
Let's hope Nintendo don't tend to remember what they do half the time, so
I mean,
it's a miracle they made a sequel to a game.
Yeah. It'll be, if we're very, very lucky, they'll just say, this is just the Switch 2 so powerful, because they know they've got the monopoly on handheld. I know Sony's rumoured to be dropping their new handheld next week, but even then, like, it won't be a competitor. Like, they've got this so in the bag. They've just got to drop a 4K one. Keep on building things like this. I know we probably won't get another Zelda for like another 10 years now, but this will last us 10 years. Like, you don't need to ask more of us. Like, give us just that world and we'll have some fun with it.
Fair. I hope they don't do another Breath of the Wild style game for Zelda, but I also have heard them saying that this is the new format for
This
Zelda.
this is the format, yeah.
Yeah, because do you not think it would be quite hard to go back to the old format?
Well, the
of
old
this?
format is interesting because they would do something different each time. Like
Well, it's
like
always
Wind Waker
like-
was different to like Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask.
So
Yeah,
people
'cause, like-
complaining, that you've got 30 years of that original linear Zelda experience, and then there's also room for the handheld, like the smaller ones. There's like Link's Awakening, they did that
Yeah.
remake. They can do that in between. Like, if you want to do your big Breath of the Wild as your main thing, do a small one in between, and then satiate
Or
that fan base.
Even just
Like,
do a Breath of the Wild style thing where you have like what shrines are, but just have it be proper dungeons and do like this actual system.
there's
that could be
there's
interesting.
dungeons in this.
Oh,
Like, there's
I
huge
guess-
ones. Like,
But you know what I mean?
be-
Like
Yeah, I
like
get
that's
what you
the
mean, yeah.
system they could do if they want to run it as a Breath of the Wild type like game, like on that engine, that sort of world. Sure, but just do something more with it. You know,
yeah.
like
think the
I want to
closest
do
example-
the Wind Waker-esque stuff. You know,
Yeah.
again.
Have they put Wind Waker on Switch?
Not yet.
I don't think they have.
No. It'll
That
be next
feels like
year,
a very
probably.
easy port to just.
It'll probably be next year. If they do, I mean, they do a Zelda
Fingers
game every
crossed.
year. Fingers crossed. Like, I really hope they do. It's my maybe second or third favorite. Like this,
I really
this might be
like-
my new favorite.
I
It's
already
really
like
scary.
Wind Waker.
But I mean, I feel very happy for them, for guys who were a few years ago like, yeah, we don't want to make Zelda anymore. We're just like, yeah, we're really bored of this. To be now like them just in a video just saying, please go and have some fun with this is just one of the nights when we've just spent the last half an hour talking about how much we hate some of these industries. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Nintendo is not your friend.
It's not a good
At the
company
same time,
either.
It's not a good company, but at the same time, it's nice to see something just like a game has dropped. Everyone's enjoying it. It fucking works. It promotes good ideas for the industry, and it's extremely like everyone can pick that up and go and play it now, and it's affordable. And just go enjoy.
Yeah, fair enough.
A happy ending for once, and I don't feel like we've had one of those in quite some time.
True. Wow. Lovely. I like games sometimes.
Games are okay,
They're pretty alright.
unless if Matt Pat talks about them.
In which case, they get a good film.
I do have some news though.
Oh.
The Josh Hutcherson show is called Future Man.
This right.
Oh,
this
it's on
needs to become
Hulu.
the next hour.
I'm gonna
Perfect.
find the. He's got a mop.
Oh,
It's
good.
real. It's real.
God, look
He
at
didn't
that.
have a
That's
It is a
insane.
thing.
schizophrenic episode. He didn't imagine it up.
I don't believe you. You spent this entire episode photos.
It's 3 series around from 2017 to 2020.
Don't
It's a
joke,
real
seriously.
I've
Utterly.
never-
Vindication.
He is lying. He is lying.
How have we never heard of this? I feel like this is just a money laundering scheme.